having a fantastic whatever day it is you're watching this. I hope it's a good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I want to talk about addiction, but I haven't made a full video on the topic because honestly it kind of makes me a little nervous. And I really want to make a difference for Tyler. I really, really want his story to have a positive impact and help remove the stigma of addiction. And I have it in my head that I have to do that in this like big, grand, profound way, or else it's not enough. But I had an epiphany over the weekend, and I realized that notion is preventing me from saying anything at all, and that's not helping fight the stigma. So I realized I need to stop holding myself back, and I need to talk about it. I need to be another voice in the discussion. So that's what we're doing today. And I feel like Tyler's here in the sunshine to join us. So let's get into it. So this past weekend, I attended a race/memory walk that was hosted by Rage Against Addiction. I'm gonna read their tagline because I wanna make sure I get it right. They are a nonprofit organization dedicated to connecting addicts and their families with the resources they need to find a path to recovery that will enable them to lead happy, healthy lives. Amazing. And I'm so grateful there are organizations like Rage Against Addiction and so many others that are doing such important work. And I was really grateful to be able to be a part of it. So I created a team in Tyler's name, and a bunch of us came out and walked through the pouring rain. I was so struck by how meaningful it felt to participate in this event alongside so many people who understand addiction's complexities and the devastation it can cause. I'm so glad we did it. And it was such a meaningful experience. And at the same time, it drudged up a lot of emotions for me. And it was hard. With how many people were there, I was reminded how many of us outside of the addict themselves are affected by addiction. Addiction affects everything and everyone in an addict's orbit. I hate addiction so much. I hate that it took Tyler from us. And not just the day that he died, but it had been stealing him from us and from himself for years. The mental torture of addiction for those of us that have to stand by and watch is that addiction is not a person. It's not the person that it's affecting. It's a psychological condition. So when Tyler was lying and being deceptive and manipulating everyone around him, it wasn't him. It was a psychological condition controlling him to behave that way. This is not to make excuses for behaviors and choices and decisions made in active addiction, because those absolutely deserve and require accountability. But I do think the distinction is really important, and it was absolutely crucial for me in the journey of loving Tyler through his addiction. Trust me, it was so painful to be lied to and betrayed and manipulated by what appeared to be Tyler. It sounded like him, it looked like him. But I think it was more painful to realize and watch addiction control the person I love most to do things he never otherwise would have done. But perhaps the most damaging part, even more so than the pain that caused, is that we as a society have created this stigma. So an addict begins to believe that they are what addiction is controlling them to be. Deceptive and manipulative and, otherwise bad people who don't deserve love, support, and help. I watched this happen to Tyler. I listened to him tell me that he didn't deserve my love. I don't even know how many times he said that. I watched the love that he had for himself be completely drained by the assumption that he was nothing more than his addiction. And honestly, that makes me even more mad than I am at addiction itself, because we have a hand in that. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this event, and what I've been thinking so much about is like, if we are not actively fighting against that, we're enabling it. And I want no part in enabling. So, this sharing is my effort to raise awareness and just share my experience. For me, it was absolutely crucial to be able to separate what addiction was controlling Tyler to do from who I knew Tyler to be. And I think that's part of the stigma. I think we have to be able to see addiction as the psychological condition it is, and recognize the behaviors and choices and decisions made in active addiction as that of the condition, instead of allowing those behaviors to become a reflection of who the addict is as a person, as a human being, so that he, she, or they can more quickly detach themselves and their worth from addiction and recognize the condition as something that needs community support and treatment, just like we would any other medical diagnosis. I think Tyler hid his addiction for so long because he saw the poor decisions he was making as a reflection of who he was as a person, a reflection of his worth, and therefore he was deeply ashamed and guilty. And that's why he continued to hide it. And that only perpetuates this vicious cycle, because we know addiction thrives in shame and guilt and isolation. I really want to believe, since we as a society have created this stigma, we can tear it down too. Or at least we can try. This is just a little shift in our perspective, because maybe someone who is realizing they're struggling with addiction won't hide it, won't take so long to seek community support and help, because they're able to remove themselves from those labels that otherwise would make them feel unworthy of the help and love and support they need. I've been sitting here editing this video for a couple hours and thinking so deeply about addiction and just getting really in my head about it. This is exactly what I was talking about with holding myself back and getting in my own way. I just want to be as respectful and sensitive as I can be to the people who are struggling with addiction, because I'm not, and I don't want to act like I know what that's like, because I don't. But I do know what it's like to have preconceived notions and judgments about addiction that I just assumed from society, because I didn't have any previous exposure to addiction before walking through this with Tyler. And that experience is what completely opened my mind and my heart. And I think that lack of exposure and therefore lack of understanding of addiction are huge contributing factors to the stigma in the first place. So that's why I'm still pushing myself to share this. I just really hope I'm making sense and being helpful. That's all. Okay, that's it for me and my self-doubt. An addict is so much more than their addiction. That's what I really want people to remember about Tyler. It shatters me to think people could reduce him to the reason he died. He's so much more than that. As is anyone struggling with addiction. And my greatest hope is that there will be less people like me having to attend a walk in memory of their person, and more people who are able to recognize their condition for what it is, know that they are worthy of the love, help, and support they need to be able to get that help, and then attend the walk themselves. Again, I just want to shout out Rage Against Addiction and all the organizations like it for the work you do. And I was really grateful to be a part of it. So thank you. Okay, that's all for now. Sending you light and love. Till next time.